works. Okay, so, yay, I hope you're excited. So, how's day 2 been? How's day 2 been? Just that? Woo! That's all the cheers are for you, Abigail. So just an announcement. So if you just come in, please move to the front because you can see us beautiful face better if you move to the front. And also, we have a new MC for this session because Lorena is busy with the PyLadies auction. Could you introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone.
Oh. It's fine. Just use it. It's
Hi.
fine.
Oh, yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Abigail Dogbe, and I'm excited to be here and co-hosting the Light and Talk session with Chuck. Yeah.
Yeah, so we have a lot of speakers today, so we won't wait. Let's just get started. Take us away. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Chuck. All right, hello, PyCon. My name is Peter Sobot, and for the next 4.5 minutes, I'm going to tell you how you can crash your Python interpreter. This talk is called How Low Level Can You Go? Crashing Python with Only Its Standard Library. So let's dive right in. I met someone yesterday during lunch. It was their first PyCon, and they were talking about how they're new to Python, but have written other languages before. And they were new to the concept of using exceptions for control flow. So things like this, that if you've written Python, you've probably done things like this. You try to do something, it throws an exception, you catch that exception, and then you do something else instead. Very Pythonic, very natural, probably to many people in the room. And the question I got was kind of interesting. It was, OK, that's cool, but does the except clause always work? And I thought, well, yeah, of course. It's part of the language. It always works. And then I thought to myself, well, no, there's probably some edge cases, some exceptions, if you will, where you can throw system exit or keyword interrupt or things like that. OK, but if you throw an exception for your own code and you just use regular Python code, you can be guaranteed the except clause will work. And they said, thank you. All right, good lunch. We're all done. Walked away. And my brain said, well, hold on. Technically, you just lied to that friendly person. Because you can crash the Python interpreter in many, many ways. And there's got to be a way to do it from Python itself, right, without writing any other code. So I posed myself a challenge. How many ways can we crash the Python interpreter itself? This challenge also had 3 distinct ground rules here. So I want to write only Python code to do this. No native code, no C code, no C++ code. It turns out if you want to crash the Python interpreter, you can actually do that very easily in C and C++ just without trying. It just happens. So another ground rule is no third-party libraries. I want to do this only with the built-ins in the Python standard library, nothing else, because someone else's code might import some native code or something else like that. Very common. And also, third, bugs don't count. I'm not looking to test to find bugs in the Python standard library. I'm trying to find actual design flaws, or not even flaws, really. APIs that if you misuse them in a certain way, you're going to crash the entire interpreter, but that's not a bug. We're not going to fix that later on. So let's take a look at that Python standard library. Here's the top of the documentation. And let me scroll to the bottom of the documentation. It's long. We have a lot of built-in modules in Python. It's one of the best things about it. As of Python 3.12, we have 260 built-ins, which is super cool. I went through this entire list. I stopped early on. Don't worry, I didn't go through the whole thing. And I found a couple different modules that could be problematic. And one place I looked was in the data persistence area here. Now, if you've ever used any of these modules, like Pickle, you'll notice that they take objects in memory and they change them into some other representation, like bytes. You can store those bytes on disk and then inflate those back again into memory to create those objects again. That's super cool, but also very ripe for bugs and crashes. I tried to crash Pickle a lot. I actually couldn't get it to crash my interpreter, though. It's very well tested and it's used all over the place. But did you know that Pickle has an older brother? And this older brother's name is Marshall. This package has existed in Python for a very, very long time, and it also does object serialization and deserialization. In fact, it's so old that the first paragraph of its documentation makes reference to Sun, which is a computer company that has not existed for 30 years. So there's probably some old code in there that we can find bugs in, or at least find some edge cases we can cause Python to crash with. So I wrote this tiny little fuzzing loop. We're going to read some random data from the operating system. We're going to print it out, and then we're going to use the Marshall.loads function to see if we can get it to crash. And I ran this for a couple minutes, and then a couple hours, and then overnight. And then I did get a segmentation fault. So look at that. It is possible to crash Python like that. But that seems a little bit like a bug. That seems like something unintentional. Is there something intentional in the standard library that we can use instead? Well, there definitely is. And if I keep scrolling here, I find another one of my favorite packages in the standard library called ctypes. Ctypes lets you call C functions and C++ functions and other code that you didn't write in Python, which is super cool. But to do so, it also gives you access to kind of some functions with the training wheels taken off, let's say. So you have this function here called fromAddress, which lets you dereference memory from your operating system just by specifying the address as a number, which is a little bit scary. Let's see how quickly we can crash Python with that. We do import ctypes, and then ctypes read the integer at address 0. And as soon as I hit enter, kablam, segmentation fault. And that's not a bug. That's not something that can be patched or can change in the future. So I just found 2 different ways to crash the Python interpreter with Python code right there. But I'm posing you a challenge. Can you find another crash? If you do, find me in the halls throughout the rest of the conference, or email me at hi@psobot.com, or tweet at me at psobot. And thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for sharing, Peter. Our next speaker is Munawar, and he will be sharing about cleaning the beaches, this time on finding and fixing bugs. Let's give him a hand.
Hi. As you see that I don't even have a title slide, and here's the backstory. I was speaker number 12 yesterday at the lightning talk, and I became the overflow speaker. So this morning I told myself, Munawar, do not be speaker number 12 today. And number 2, just whenever you get the opportunity, just say your bit and move on. So no fluff, nothing. Here's the bit. So now let me pay tribute or pay a shout out to the ProdSec people that constantly tell you, or ProdSec people in your company that constantly tell you to take them seriously, and that this is really the biggest problem of your time. No, take me seriously. This is the biggest problem of your time. Collectively, in December 2021, the software industry realized that all the cathedrals that they're building, there's a whole lot of open source code that is underneath. This has been there forever. But then the collective realization on that morning in December 2021 was, am I using log4j? And if yes, what am I going to do? This has, the software composition analysis industry has been there for some time, and they have come up with a solution to solve that, and this has been widely adopted until now. What they do is, they look at your open source dependencies, and by that dependencies, it could be about 80% or 90% of code, depending on what are you smoking. But it's just a lot. It doesn't matter, 80%, 90%, doesn't matter. What they do is they find these dependencies, find a library, see if there is a known vulnerability associated with the library, notify you of that, and then you basically need to modify that library and update to a safer one. That worked. But the current reality is changing. At the time when a bug is found, to the point where it becomes a CVE, there is a big air gap. And during that air gap, there could be a lot of exploitation that can happen. So the software composition analysis tools, by the time they find a CVE and they report that to you, a lot of time is lost. So what if you can proactively look for bugs in a large set of artifacts with static analysis tools, and then report them and then work with the maintainers to get them fixed. As you do that, some of them will become vulnerabilities, and much later, the software composition analysis tools will pick up that particular signal. So everybody's shifting left. We are talking about shifting way left so that you get reaction time to deal with the next open source vulnerability that is going to come to you. For sure. So this project, we are calling it Cleaning the Beach. There's a lot of garbage in the beach. What collectively we are doing is proactively scanning this code and finding a part of the beach and putting a cordon around it that we have scanned it, and it is free from these critical software security problems. Are we going to be right all the time? Clearly, no. However, this is going to give you an opportunity to evaluate some libraries. Many of you look for signals about when I'm picking an open source library, which one should I use? So this is going to give you some signal that you can use in that decision-making process. Right now, we're working with Alpha Omega and Linux Foundation and Python Software Foundation to look into top 2,000 Python libraries and all their dependencies and report that to the maintainers and getting those bugs fixed. In the recent past, we have scanned over 3,000 applications, reported hundreds of bugs, many security bugs, many high severity bugs, and a lot of those bugs have been fixed. So what's the takeaway? Takeaway number one for you is open source software is full of problems. And you need to be very vigilant of what is the open source that you're ingesting. And next time, you should start looking for these signals and then use this in your decision-making process to make better decisions. And takeaway number two, which is for me, is to take a selfie with all of you wonderful people, because this has been a very big audience. The first time I've spoken in front of such a big audience, so I'll just take this opportunity to do that. Thank you. Thank you. I'll be staying here. There's a fantastic set of people who are speaking, so if you even remember me by the end, I'll be staying over there. I'll be happy to talk with you. Thanks.
Okay, so next, the term soft skills always remind me of soft serve ice cream. Yeah. So our next speaker is going to talk something about soft skills, which is ice cream.
So this talk is about ice cream. Thank you for coming. That's the end. They're not soft skills, is what I'm here to talk about, because since February 18th, 1845, we've referred to kindness, empathy, compassion, and clear communication as soft skills. Don't check me on that date, it is made up. But we have been doing it for quite some time, and I would argue that those exact same skills are actually critical to shipping good code, and shipping that code on good timelines, and doing all of that in such a way that you all don't hate going to your jobs every day, because it makes you cranky and sometimes constipated. Anyway, so April Wenzel, I don't know that from experience. Anyway, April Wenzel from Compassionate Coding uses the term catalytic skills, which I love because it catalyzes, right, pushes forward production. I also like the term professional skills, hence that graphic and stuff. So, because the thing is, you're not being soft or squishy or some other kind of term that implies that these aren't serious skills. They are, or that it's something that only women do, which would lead me into a conversation about how we find things that we associate with women less valuable, but then we're talking about the patriarchy, and we don't have time for that today. These are professional skills. Skills that if you are going to use if you are going to do a good job as a developer, and they are not optional. Since they're not optional, let's talk about some low-hanging fruit. First up, smile. It sounds ridiculous, I know. But if you are able to keep your camera on, some people aren't, it makes them very anxious, and that is okay. We work with the brains that we have. But if your camera is on, try smiling. It makes you happy. So happy right now. Normally when I smile, it's not that weird. It makes you happy. It does make other people happy. It kind of greases the wheels between your team, right? You're building trust and inclusion, and all of that is very good. I was also reminded today by someone I met named Karen at a meal earlier that even if you have your camera on, you can actually hear a smile in your voice. So, off, rather. No one can see your face, but they can hear you smiling, and that's kind of a nice thing. So, if you're willing to try smiling, go ahead and do. You probably won't hate it. Even if you're nervous, in which case your smile might look a little bit like that, and that's okay, we're trying, but make sure to try to also smile with your eyes, or you might give a vibe you're not actually going for. Next, be supportive in your code reviews. Now, when we open up pull reviews, like this is a great opportunity to be fostering more community. We usually see if it's good to ship, the LGTM looks good to me, right? That's something that we see pretty common, which is fine. But if you're the author of the PR, imagine how you would feel if you also saw, thanks for the doc string. Or, I've never seen the syntax before. It's really cool. Even swapping out the looks good to me for nice and a cute little thumbs up is a nice switch, just to switch it up. It doesn't cost anything, doesn't take any time. Well, it takes maybe a little bit of time to look for the thumb thing, but it's fine, and it builds community, and it builds that trust that we're looking for. It's a pretty easy piece to incorporate, so give it a try. The next one is a little bit trickier. Ask for your code changes kindly, which, again, is tricky, but you can ask ChatGPT for help. You want to see? So I asked Chad, with 2 Ds, because that's what I call ChatGPT most of the time. I asked Chad, I hate the syntax that my coworker used. How do I say that kindly? And Chad offers, thanks for the work on this. To keep our code base consistent, could we align the syntax with our team's coding standards? Happy to discuss if needed, which is fine, and better than your code makes me want to burning rockets, but it is a little bit dry. So I asked Chad to make it happier, and they give me great work on this. Just a small note, could we tweak the syntax to match our team's coding standards? Let me know if you want to chat about it. Not bad, but what if I wanted it obscenely happy? Awesome job on this code. Star emoji, just a tiny tweak. Oh no, let's go more. Wow, fantastic job on this code. Party emoji, sprinkle emoji, just a little note. Could we make the syntax match our team's coding standards? Let me know if you'd like to chat about it. I'm excited to collaborate. Smiley face, rocket emoji, thank you a ton. But we're gonna take it easy, because if that is a shift from our normal behavior, your coworker's going to be confused. Also, don't die on that hill. There's a bunch of different ways to pet a cat. It's so much longer than I wanted. Anyway, try not to fight too much over stuff that doesn't matter, which is half of it, and mend your relationship quickly. And come see me later to talk about this excellent book on repentance and repair, and go be amazing professionals. Thank you, emojikitchen.dev, for being awesome.
That was fantastic. Now, how many of us here believe that the next generation of Pythonistas need mentorship? Any hands? All right, so Tyler is here to tell us more. Let's give him a hand.
Cool, thank you all so much. So I am Tyler Menezes. Here's an embarrassing photo of me when I was a student, and I work for the nonprofit Code Day. We help students use CS to create cool stuff and change their communities and worlds. We've helped about 75,000 students around the world realize that, so we have learned a lot about the subject of this talk, which is how to nurture the next generation of Pythonistas. So I called this talk Better Mentoring rather than just How to Mentor, because you all are already a mentor. I'm not even going to ask for a show of hands. Everyone in here is a mentor. You are probably already a mentor to someone. Someone who gives help and less advice to a less experienced person. That's what a mentor is. So if you've ever had an intern, a coworker, a sibling, a child, or even just some random person that you met on day one of PyCon, you have probably been a mentor to someone. Now, today's students really need your mentorship. Mentors can do amazing things, and there are lots of different types of mentors, but our students today, in order to achieve their potential, they need 2 things. They need technical mentorship, and they need help integrating and navigating into the workplace. So let's talk a little bit about how can you be a better mentor. So we know from research what people want from their mentors. They want mentors who are supportive and understanding. They want people who are good observers and listeners. They want you to set clear, high expectations. They want you to help them problem solve. I put some citations there. There's no way you can read them in the time that we have, so let's keep moving. All of these, what do they have in common? The students just want mentors to understand them. So with that in mind, let's get into the main thing I want you to take away from this talk, which is the 3 biggest problems that newer developers face and how you can help. So the first one is what I call learn to tasks. This is where you say, hey, welcome to the team. I want you to start off by learning how to use Postgres. It's a new database for you. I want to tell y'all, if you have been a developer for a while, the word learn means something very different to you than it does to the average student, because the average student has just spent the last 18 years of their life studying for a test and then studying for a test. and then studying for a test, and then studying for a test. And by the time that you tell them that you want them to learn something new, where does their head go? They're going to think about it as reading a book. I have literally had students take notes on method signatures before. Like literally just the method signatures in the standard library of, I think it was C#. So it's not very helpful. So if you are asking someone who's a newer developer to learn something, what I like to do is try to make it specific and what I call check-offable. You know, it's like SMART goals or all of those fancy buzzwords. Can you check it off? Can you say it's yes or no? Like instead of saying learn to use Postgres, what I want you to say is read this tutorial on Postgres, or even pick 2 tutorials on Postgres and do them, but don't spend more than 2 hours. It doesn't have to be complicated, just make it a little bit more specific so that they know when they're done. The second big problem for a lot of developers is what I call the expert fallacy. People think, again, you know, they're studying for tests and studying for tests, and they're supposed to get a degree, and then they're just supposed to be experts. And people think of us, you know, actual professional developers as experts. Now, I don't know about you all. This is what I feel like when I'm programming. So we know sort of from the research, you know, there's a process developers go through. We try to figure out what the problem is. We research existing solutions, aka Google, Stack Overflow, and ChatGPT. We experiment, we just try things, we compile, and when it doesn't work, we add some console logs and hope that that helps us somehow. We evaluate what solutions are the best, and then we hopefully verify that we actually solved the problem. That's what we do. No one tells students that this is what we do. So instead of being a subject matter expert, when someone comes to you who's a junior developer or your intern and they want an answer to a question, don't answer the question. It reinforces that you're an expert. Teach them to rubber duck debug, ask them leading questions, and give them next steps for research. Very last thing I want you to take away, workplace norms. A lot of students don't know how to use Google Calendar. They have no idea that, for example, if you set a standing meeting, like a stand-up, they have to show up to the stand-up even if they didn't accomplish all their goals yesterday. So just question your assumptions, and if you have someone new coming on your team, check in with them regularly and just ask them how they're doing and give them honest feedback about what they're not doing well on, because probably they don't even know that that's the case. So again, if you want to take a picture, here's the 3 easiest low-hanging fruit you can do. Set specific check-offable tasks, teach students to think like a developer instead of giving them the answer, and question your assumptions. And lastly, if you're interested in mentoring students, here is our link. We always need more mentors for our students. Thank you all very much.
Thank you so much. And I would like to all of you to think of one library. Without it, the data science ecosystem won't be the same ever. NumPy, yes, the next talk is about NumPy, so thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm here to talk about NumPy. My name is Liz. I work for Quantsite Labs, and I spend most of my time on open source. Some people have been working on NumPy 2 for 18 years now, because NumPy 1 was 18 years ago, so I just wanted to express my gratitude to them. I've been working on this stuff for about 6 months now, so nothing in comparison to them. Incredible amount of work by anyone. I want to speak today about one feature in particular, hopefully to show you some internals of NumPy and get you excited about it as well. So, fixed length strings in NumPy, what does that mean? It means if you have a NumPy array with strings, then you get something like this. It's sequenced out in memory. All of the strings take the same amount of memory, so the ones that are smaller get 0 bytes appended to the end. And you can do string operations to them, right? You can have things like this, where you add or concatenate 2 string arrays together. The code looks like this. I just want to show you some C code because I like it. But what it actually does is it creates string objects, Python string objects, that is, for the first item, the second item, concatenates them together, then takes the raw C buffer from that, puts it back into the array, and does the rest of the array as well. So to reiterate, creates 2 Py objects, which is very slow, adds them together, takes the resulting raw data buffer, and stores everything into the array. All of this is slow. we can get rid of at least 3 steps from here, which is these 3 steps. We have the raw C data buffer. We can just work on that, and that's what we did. That's where NumPy ufuncs come in. It's an amazing technology. It's basically NumPy's way of working on C-level data, and it's why everything is so fast on NumPy. So in order to do this on the C level, we have these 2 buffers. We know that the resulting string is going to be for hello world 10 characters long, for Pittsburgh PA 12 characters long. So we have a buffer for 12 characters. We just put hello and world in the first one, append a few bytes, put Pittsburgh PA in the second one, and that's it. And we've skipped all the steps about strings, sorry. So this is the C code again, nothing too interesting here. I just want to show that this is really easy to do. Okay, not so easy, but yeah, it's relatively straightforward. You can learn more about ufuncs on this link, or just Google NumPy ufuncs and you'll find it. And now the question is, was it faster? And the answer was yes, it was much, much faster. For a 1,000 element array with 2 character strings, add was about 500x faster than the original NumPy 1 version. So yeah, a very great speed up. But that's not everything. If you saw, fixed length strings are very memory inefficient. So in NumPy 2, the new stringd type is coming out, which is variable width strings. So now you have string operations that are 10 to 500x faster. They have support for fixed and variable width strings. So that means support for ASCII, UTF-8, and UTF-32. So if you're doing string stuff with NumPy, upgrade to and test NumPy 2. Thanks.
Thanks for sharing. So after you use NumPy for your data analysis and all, how do you communicate what you found with your audience or with your boss? Now, Nathan is here to share more on data storytelling. Give him a hand.
All right, so I have the ambitious goal of giving you some advice, 5 hacks for how to tell stories with data in the next 5 minutes. So go ahead, raise your hand if you have taken some sort of course on data science, scientific programming, or statistics. So I had a strong prior on this, so I made the graph ahead of time. So a lot of people have had some sort of formal education in data science. Now raise your hand again if you have taken some sort of course in data presentation or storytelling. Good number of hands, which is good, but I had again a strong prior, and so most people, while we are trained in analyzing data, in working with data, we're not particularly well trained in presenting data. We typically do it in an applied way. We get up in front of however many people, and we just go ahead and do it. So that's why I'm going to give you these 5 hacks in the next 5 minutes for those of you that are developing these skills, particularly when you're working with a non-technical audience. And of course, I've engaged in the first one right here, which is by directly engaging my audience personally, having you raise your hand, especially doing something physical, writing something down, having you raise your hand a second time, engaging you personally in the story I'm trying to tell. For the next couple hacks, I'm going to use this data here, which I basically drew by hand from a screen grab, so I'll write the Python later. But I'm going to talk about this data here, which shows how interest in data storytelling has increased dramatically in the last 10 years. And this is just on the x-axis is time. It's a Google Trends graph. The y-axis is however Google indexes that. And there's a dramatic increase in the last 8 or 10 years in interest in this topic. And I thought initially this might have had something to do with the publication of the best-selling book, The Signal and the Noise by Nate Silver. But there's a pretty significant time lag before the Google Trends data picks up. And so another good candidate that I'm going to look into more is the publication of Storytelling with Data by Cole. Actually don't know how to, I'll say the middle name, Nussbaumer. Don't know how to pronounce the last name. So a possible correlation or causation there. And what I'm using here is actually what we call in education assertion evidence slides, which is a really simple, straightforward formatting for slides for use with non-technical audiences especially, which you have your slide, and you have an assertion. You have the take-home message, what you want people to write down in their notebook or to take a picture of, thank you, and to remember when they walk out of here and go do something else. And then you have evidence. You have simple, straightforward evidence for what you want them to understand. And another way of thinking about this is stories are typically not told with bullet points, and we have more compelling ways when we do this around the campfire or with Star Wars or whatnot. So try to avoid presenting data results, especially with bullet points. So another concept to think about, another hack to employ, is try to minimize the cognitive load of your presentation. And I've tried to do this in several ways. I made my font as big as possible. I've tried to include, I don't know if this is copyright infringement, but include the Google logo there, instantiate what is going on there and anchor it to an icon, make the fonts big, use images to reinforce things, try to decrease the amount of effort it takes cognitively for your audience to keep up with what's going on. And then for my fourth point, the fourth hack to think about is how do you clearly and deliberately introduce the characters of your story, which perhaps you've been spending days or weeks or months, or if you're a PhD student, years understanding the stories of your data, but they're completely brand new, most likely, to the people that you're presenting your data on. So I like to think about presenting the background, talking about what's the axis, be really clear about what my x-axis is, be really clear about what my y-axis is, instantiate it with some kind of icon, and then introduce each one of the major players and make sure that people have the opportunity to get to know them. And so this brings me to my last hack, and you should Google this to learn more about this, but it's the idea of called developing narrative tension using and, but, therefore as a technique. And if you've ever watched or had a South Park episode inflicted upon you, you've actually experienced this. And the creators of South Park talk about using a technique like this. And key with the and, but, therefore is using some sort of but scenario, some sort of tension where we've all been trained in data science, but none of us have been trained in how to present data. We know that there's this trend, maybe it's because of this cause, but maybe it's because of another. And then, therefore, we're going to talk about the implications of that. So go forth, good luck presenting your data and spreading the gospel of data science and Python.
Wow, we have a lot of data science themed talk at this session. So another challenge, what is another library or framework that changed the data science scenes? No, not Flask. Actually, I'm thinking about Jupyter Notebook. No? Yes? Okay. So the next talk is about, is it Jupyter Notebook or traditional notebook?
Any, more than just Jupyter, but yeah.
Oh, okay, let's see.
All right, hi everyone. So today I want to talk about what we are doing to kind of try to make notebooks a peer-reviewed conference publication medium, and why we're doing this for the research software engineer community. I'm Ludovico, and you are a very large audience. So I work for Lawrence Berkeley Lab as a research software engineer. So for those of you who haven't heard about this term before, we can think of there being a spectrum between like pure research, just do research, you don't touch software, pure software engineering on the other end, you just do software, you don't do research. When they meet in the middle, it's a blurry zone. That's what a research software engineer is. There's no one single definition, but it's on purpose made, thought to be very inclusive. So the US Research Software Engineer Association is an organization that does advocacy, community building, resources, and I'm happy to talk to you about it later. So what we're talking about. So in wanting to design, I am part together with my co-chairs of the program committee for the very first US RC conference last year, and then now this one. So what happens? So when you do research, you have, as you said, on one end research, on the other software engineering, and in the middle you have RSCs. If you think about what they produce, like how do you exchange your kind of do. You have actually a research paper with a peer review process. On the software engineering side, you have the code with the pull request, which is kind of funny. So what happens in the middle? And then we thought that notebooks could be the answer. So notebooks are, this is just an example with Jupyter, but it's not only limited to that. It's just a medium that mixes the two. So what about making notebooks kind of the equivalent of the RSC, so making it something that an RSC could submit to a conference? Why we want to do this? I don't know, I like to kind of frame it in this way. There's really huge potential for notebooks. Not only for like being a reproducible paper, this is a very important part of research, but I'm ignoring it completely during this talk. I want to concentrate more on the community side of it. So first of all, it's more equitable because it increases the visibility of work that often doesn't end up in publication. It's more inclusive because people, especially earlier in their career, spend most of their time with these tools already, so it's easier for them to just publish what they have. And it's also more diverse, but really in the sense of diverse like things you can do with notebooks because it enables sharing knowledge beyond just having the static format of a paper. How do we do this? So this is an image that I like to compare notebooks. Like, is it more of a code? Is it like a paper? The answer is yes, right? So you don't really, with a paper, you just have it, you can read it, reviewers can do it. You don't really have the same with a notebook. So what we decided to do is to invest some time in kind of building a infrastructure. So the way this works is that submitting a notebook, you have a GitHub repository, and then you can sort of add this workflow that we designed. All of this is built on GitHub Actions and open source tools, such as repo2docker. This is amazing. It takes a repo and intelligently builds your environment based on the files that are on it. And they do all the hard work. These allow us to be very efficient, and basically we can support everything that they do. Authors can test that everything runs on their submission, and the reviewers can just use the very same infrastructure to then do the review. Right? So that's the way I call it runs on our machine because they have a shared common point of reference. So how does it work? It works any continuous integration. So if you push something and there is an error, then it will go step by step. We had checked that all the files are required. In this case, I inserted an error that just causes the notebook to crash. If you fix it, it will instead build, and it will also give you a link that you can click, and that from that same image, which is pushed to the same repository using a container image, so there's very high guarantee that reviewers will also be able to run. So for our first US RSC conference last October, we had 2 amazing submissions. But we have another conference coming up, that's October, and we want to have many, many more submissions, so that's why I'm very happy that I could share this with you. Notebook submissions are still open. Come and catch me in the hallway if you want to know more. Just a shout out to my co-chairs, Nicole and Torin. We have to build this essentially from scratch, again, because of the funny rabbit duck situation, and so it's been a very cool journey, which is still far from over. Just these 2 links. Again, come find me, and I'm happy to chat more. Thanks again.
Well, thanks for sharing. I have a question. Do you think that it's important as Python programmers to learn different languages? I mean, we have the coolest programming language, right, which is Python. But yeah, I like that. But Dr. Charles is here to talk to us about why we need to learn C. Let's give him a hand.
Thank you, Abigail. So the title of my talk is Why a Python Programmer Should Learn C. I mean, really. My name's Charles Severance. Most of my students online know me as Dr. Chuck. I didn't say I want you to write C. I just said that you should learn C. So you may know me from a number of my Coursera and other online courses. Python for Everybody, which is the largest Python course in the world. I've graduated over the last decade over 3 million people from the course. Over 1.1 million people from India alone. And what I try to do in this course is embed it in the world. There's interviews, there's office hours. So one of the things that I do, and I don't know why more faculty don't do this, online faculty don't do this, I do office hours. I've done about 75 little meetups at coffee shops around the world, And at the end of each of these, I make a film. As a matter of fact, I made 2 films. Well, I've made one, and we'll soon make another here at PyCon. So it's pretty common for me to make films at PyCons when I go. And we sit around, we have coffee, and I get inevitably this question over and over and over again, and that is, I loved your course, learn Python, how do I get that first job? And I've written articles about that, and I've always thought that I had a good answer to that. But I just keep getting asked over and over and over again. And I thought maybe I should work on that problem. Maybe I should figure out how it was that go from teaching introductory programming, which is what I've done for the past decade, to preparing people actually for their first job. And I started by thinking about the people that I would hire. A lot of them don't have computer science degrees. A lot of them are just wonderful, talented people. And the key thing is it's not so much what they know, because it's impossible to know everything that an employer might want you to be able to do. And the people that I look up to the most and would hire the most quickly is the fact that they can learn anything. They can learn anything in about 4 weeks. I mean, you probably think of people in your mind that you know who a new thing comes out and they can pick it up really fast. And then my question is, why is that, right? What is it that makes it so really good programmers can learn new things really quickly? And that's because they understand things all the way down to the very depths of what's going on. So I decided to build this course called C Programming for Everybody. Again, not because I want you to learn C, well, because I want you to program in C. I want you to keep programming in Python and Rust and whatever, but I want you to understand how computers work, and I want you to understand how Python works. So I want you to go from being a good programmer to being one of the best programmers in your organization. This is indeed a C course for Python programmers. It starts with comparing C to Python, using Python examples and C examples side by side, and it ends with a deep, deep dive into object-oriented programming and implements all of the main Python objects in C, so you can kind of pretend you're a Python core dev at this point. And there's interviews with Brian Kernighan, Guido van Rossum, and Bjorn Strostrup, the inventors of C, C++, and Python, respectively. Now, when I was done with this, and I wrote all this code with linked lists and hash maps, I asked myself, did I inadvertently write list and dictionary the way Guido did when he first wrote Python over Christmas? And so I sent him a note and asked him if I could come out and interview him. So I went to his house, set up the camera. We never talked. I gave him the Kernighan and Ritchie book, and I said, did you read this book to write Python? And he goes, no, I didn't really like this book very much. I'm like, really? Well, at least tell me that you used linked lists to build the list object. He says, not really. I don't like linked lists very much. I'm like, well, how did you do it? And on and on and on. And so you can see, I've got these interviews. You'll be able to see them. I'm hearing from Guido that I was completely wrong in assuming how the internals of Python work. Now, some of you probably do know. So I had to add a whole chunk to this course that I call the epilogue that basically re-implements everything I did in the course, except did it the way Guido did it originally in Python 3. And Python 0.9, and then later, some of it was redone again in 3.7, and I go through all that stuff. But it's also a great exercise in object-oriented programming and how objects work. This is all available on Coursera, C Programming for Everybody. It's a specialization. It's also available online, because I insist that everything I do is not just through Coursera, but also free and available. If you go to www.cc4e.com, you will get a free course, including the epilogue, everything. There's nothing held back. When I first started it, long story, I thought I was going to get sued because I stole a textbook by digitizing it, and so I hid it behind a code. So if you go to it, you got to know a code, but the code's really easy, and smart people in this room will guess the code right away. And so once you enter the code, you go into this course that has all of the material. C Programming for Everybody, it's a full course, and it has the epilogue and everything in it. And so I encourage you to go to, www.cc4e.com and enter the number 42 and see if you find it interesting as a Python developer. Thank you.
Right. So yeah, I really like the fact that we have to learn more programming languages. And to have a very selfish advertisement, actually I'm running a Rust kind of meetup gathering a Rust meetup in a Python conference. Can you imagine? So tomorrow, in the open space. So in the evening, 7:30, we would get take away, get food, and then we will come back, and then we would learn Rust together. Maybe because I want to learn. I want people who are like know more than me to come to help me. Next, our speaker is going to give away the secret to automate your work. Dima, are you afraid that your coworker is listening and know like this?
Yeah, I believe everyone already knows something about this, but let's go.
So you already know. So tell us. Thank you.
Okay, before I start, I want to ask, is there someone here their job is not really need Python to do? Okay, very little, so I'm a minority here. So my name is Dima, and currently I'm working in a government in a ministry, and I'm not really doing Python in my job, so I love Python as a community. And you can follow me at the Maharika or mail me at maharika@python.org.id. Okay, here's the thing about my job. It is a very boring office job. Why it is boring? First of all, because it's not using Python, because I love Python, but my job's not really using it, so I feel that my job is kind of boring. And then it is a lot of repetitive things that I had to do. And lastly, it is Microsoft Office related. And actually, my job is really easy, but it's just a lot of things to do. So, but what if you have a Python skills and how to make it useful? This is what I love about Python community, because they have a lot of amazing libraries. When you think that, oh, I want to do something about something, they always have libraries of it. And so I'm just thinking about just automate some of my works. And I'm going to give you some of my example. And all of this is inspired by the Alsbergard in their book. Okay, here's the basic requirement before I want to do something and automate it using Python. First of all, of course, I have to do it using Python language, so I need to know about Python. And then I need to know the algorithm it needed. And I can do it manually before I try to do it automatically. And the first thing is about using mouse and keyboard. So for my work that I need to click and typing repetitively, I'm going to use PyAuto GUI, and it helped me clicking faster and do it in loops. So here's the example that I have to fill out form in some web, and my friend says he got sleep at 11 p.m. in the night when doing this until dawn, and I also said, well, yeah, I also sleep at 12 p.m., but it's automatically, so I don't really put much effort on it. And another thing is we can generate PDF documents, and sometimes we need to create a lot of PDF based on some templates, and for that, we have libraries called ReportLab. Yeah, it can create, read, edit, and do other things about PDF, so it's an amazing library. Here's the example that I need to create a certificate for the PyCon 2019. And this is the code. And here is the example of the result. And for the same effort, I can do a lot of certificates using the same code. And the last thing, gathering and processing data from web. For this occasion, I'm using 3 libraries. First of all, I scrape it using Beautiful Soup, and then I process the data using Pandas, and then I create the Microsoft Excel documents using OpenPy Excel. And here is the video of my program, which is fully automated, and I can scrape thousands of data in just some minutes compared to my other friends. Let's just skip this. Okay, so when we can complete it faster, it means that we can be more productive, right? Or, in my case, I can get more time to sleep. And then here's the hard thing I learned about automating it. So I just want to say that be careful when you're using it, because some of my bosses not give me enough time. he give me more jobs when I can finish something sooner. So, and the last thing, Indonesia is having a PyCon Epic 2024, so you can visit our pycon.id for more information. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thanks for sharing, Dima. So our next speaker is Nick, and he'll be sharing about 5 things you didn't know about DuckDB. Please give him a hand.
All right, PyCon. So first thing I need to say is that I love PyCon, and I hope PyCon has been giving you a lot of love too. Love PyCon so much that I attended an open space, and I learned so many cool things about DuckDB that I just had to share with you. But there are jokes about it, but I can't really tell you the joke unless you actually say the secret term or word, which is quack. So whenever you hear a question, you just have to say quack, and I'll give you the joke. Are you ready? All right, let's do it. So why did the data scientist bring DuckDB to the party? Because it doesn't need a server to have a good time. It's always in process. So DuckDB is an in-process database that's similar to SQLite. This means that it doesn't require a separate server, and it simplifies deployment processes and integration. So you can use it just like you would an SQLite. All right. Why did DuckDB get hired as a spy? Because it can move all its secrets in a single file and leave no trace behind. So similar to SQLite, it is a single file database. You can carry it everywhere you want. It also uses columnar storage, which means that it's an OLAP analytical engine. So think a Redshift or a BigQuery in your hard disk. It's very efficient for analytical queries that typically involve scanning large amounts of data, but only a few columns. This can lead to very significant performance improvements for certain types of queries. Data in DuckDB is very easy to manage and transfer, just like a SQLite. Why did the Panda e-commerce merchant bring its data to the duck pond? Because it knew those quacky ducks could turn it into a table faster than the panda can spot bamboo. DuckDB allows you to query pandas data frames as if they were regular tables through a feature called replacement scans. This mechanism replaces references to non-existent tables in DuckDB with table functions. So whenever it sees a table that it doesn't have within its registry, it calls a function to look it up within the process. And because this is in process, you don't pay the latency of transferring a huge data frame, even though that data frame is gigabytes or megabytes, into DuckDB. So data analysts, DBAs, you don't have to figure out the whole Pandas API. Just write SQL. Why did the duck cross the data lake? To show it could fetch all the data in one quack. So DuckDB is really cool. It can query SQLite, you can query Postgres, you can query MySQL, you can query S3, you can query cloud storage, and it can also actually query DuckDB itself. So DuckDB supports multiple storage formats, and so all you have to do to query a database like Postgres or SQLite, just attach it, then create a new table from it, and you can start making joins across multiple different databases. Here's another example where I just installed the HTTPFS extension, and then now I can read from S3, Parquet, or just a REST API where there's a Parquet file or a CSV file or a JSON file or an iceberg file, whatever you want. It's really flexible. Now, why did the vectors go to Duck School? Because they knew they would find the perfect space and get indexed into shape. DuckDB is a really advanced analytical engine with support for vectors. So what does that mean? Vector stores. So you can actually run your LangChain application or your embedding and just load everything into DuckDB and just write SQL over it. Here's a screenshot of me taking all the texts from the PyCon schedule and then just loading it into DuckDB and creating a vector store out of it. And so I could write an LLM. If you want to hear more about that, just hit me up. I can tell you more about that. Thank you all, and hope you have a wonderful PyCon.
Yeah, so thank you, Quack. So next, I would like to say that for all the moms who are also working mom, I really respect you all, because my mom was also a working mom. She was working while raising me and my sister. Unfortunately, she is not here with us anymore. If I can turn back the clock, I want to tell her how I respect her and how amazing she is. But yeah, so for all the moms, I love you all. And our next speaker is also a working mom. She's going to tell us how she raised kids and also kind of, restart her career. So thank you.
Yes, my topic is bringing back my career with Python while raising kids. My name is Joeun, Joey Park. I like Python, and I am a mother of 2 children. I am Microsoft MVP in Python Developer Technologies part. I'm running a YouTube channel about learning and growing with Python tutorial. I have attended PyCon Korea for about 10 years, with some of that time spent working as a staff member, but this is my first time at PyCon US, and I have come with my family. During as a staff member at PyCon Korea, I initiated the child care and young coder program. Observing the child care at PyCon Korea, other tech conferences in Korea began to provide child care service too. As a working mother who struggled with both work and child care, the first child entered the elementary school, I decided to focus on parenting for just 1 year. But with this career gap and my age, I wonder if I will be able to return to work, because this is not my first career gap. After having 2 children and taking parental leave, I was not able to return to my previous job. In Korea, it is illegal not to allow employees to return after parental leave. Since I couldn't get my position back at my former workplace, I had no choice but to find a new job. And with my first child entering elementary school, I faced another career break. I like this phrase, done is better than perfect. I decided to just give it a try. While doing the dishes, I took a short break. I created YouTube tutorial videos whenever I had a short amount of time. While cooking, I took a short break. While doing the laundry, I took a short break. I created Python tutorials whenever I had a tiny bit of free time. But it's not fun without feedback. Let's upload what I've studied to YouTube. No editing. The important thing is to just record it. I'm using an old MacBook, page QuickTime, and bundling earphones tapped to my face. Whenever I have time, I upload videos solving everything within an hour, because my 2 kids don't give me a moment peace. I have to get everything done while the kids are at school and daycare. I gave up editing. Did I record it wrong? Oh no, why is the delivery arriving at this time? That's how I recorded it, and nobody watches it. Luckily, a friend of mine watches my videos and gives me feedback. Your voice sounds so fake. Yeah, I guess it kind of does. Even with low view, few subscribers, and no income, I kept going, because of all the approaches I've attempted, this has been the most effective for my learning. There were times when I got busy and couldn't upload videos for months, but my subscribers slowly and steadily increased. now 25K subscribers. Uploading videos and receiving feedback through the view, subscribers comment and like motivated and encouraged me. That's why I was able to keep going consistently. Then I started getting unexpected messages, offers for online and offline lectures, content partnership, writing opportunities, and collaborations. A team from a great company watched my videos and asked me to join them. Is it real? I initially thought I would do this for a while and then go back to regular job, but I've kept doing it until now. Creating various Python tutorial examples was enjoyable, and the number of viewers who take their time to watch my videos is slowly increasing. I even make a small profit. I was able to gain even more opportunities than that. This led to me to write the book, Korean Text Analysis for Everyone with Python. Give lectures and projects at various universities, companies, and academies. It was really great learning method. Of course, there are negative comments like, you did it carelessly, that I can forget. But I've gained a lot of knowledge and developed it through this experience. I can't be perfect. What matters is doing it now, like how I'm participating in this writing tour. Every like and subscriber encouraged me. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing with us. So our next speaker is Rodrigo, and he'll be sharing with us some secrets to counting some specific numbers. So let's welcome him.
Hey everyone. Hey everyone. Can I get a hands up if you know how to count? Because that's going to be helpful. Excellent. So with that out of the way, I think I would address the elephant in the room, which is the fact that no one knows how many passwords there are with lengths between 8 and 10 with at least one uppercase letter, one lowercase letter, and one digit. I mean, I'm sure no one knows it, and it upsets me. And I'm glad you know how to count, but I studied mathematics, and I know for a fact that counting is hard. And so what I thought is, I'm just going to write down all of the strings with the lengths 8, 9, and 10, and I'll just keep going, and eventually, one eternity later, I'll have all of them in the screen. And really, the ellipses here are doing the heavy lifting, because it's 853 quadrillion and something strings. And if I was listing them 1 billion per second, it would take me 27 years, and I only have 5 minutes. So I need to do something else to figure out how many passwords there are with those lengths and with those restrictions, right? And that's when automatons come into play, which is a really cool maths CS thing. And we want this to be done fast, right? We don't have 27 years. And that's why we're doing it in Python. And the key idea, thank you. And the key idea really is that instead of focusing on these specific characters, we want to focus on how many characters of each category we've already seen. So for the empty string, I've seen 0 uppercase letters, 0 lowercase letters, and 0 digits. And if I think of a lowercase letter, then the 1 there is going to get increased. And if I think of adding a digit, then I'll add a 1 to a different position. So these are counting how many of each class I've seen. And the cool thing is that if you think of writing things in different orders, so maybe a digit and then a lowercase letter, I will end up with different paths. I'll end up in the same nodes. And these overlaps will be important, because as I draw the full diagram, and this is just a very portion, as I draw the full diagram, all of these overlaps, all of these arrows pointing to exactly the same places will mean I get to count many of these passwords with very little effort. And so what I have here is, against the good advice of Trey Hunter, is a very short live demo. The code is already written. The algorithm is very, very, very complex because it has an if statement and a for loop. So I don't think you could get it, so I won't try and explain it. But if you run it, it counts a bunch of things in 0.0004 seconds. So that's pretty good, I think. And that's essentially how I counted to 698 quadrillion, 438 trillion, 863 billion, 898,480,640 in less than a millisecond. If the captioners didn't get this, you can just write a gazillion. If you want to read how this actually works, there's a QR code there. Other than that, I wish you a happy PyCon.
I am impressed. You read out the whole numbers. So yeah, and sorry about the overrun. We're trying to squeeze all the speakers in because they are all too good. So our next speaker is going to show us memes. So please look forward to this.
Hi, today I'm going to present on my impressions after my first day at my first ever conference. Mind the small print. So, hello Pittsburgh. My name is Pawel Jastrzebski. I'm from Poland, but I live in the UK. To show the appreciation for both countries, let me start with how do you do, or jak się masz, which is basically the same thing in Polish. I've also attached a map that shows both countries. It's not because I'm not buying to alleged American geographical ignorance. No, I don't believe that for a second. But it's my first time in the US, so I've decided to err on the side of caution. I've also included a phonetic description of how you're supposed to pronounce my name, but after I've done it, I realized it's really silly of me. English isn't my first language. I've got no idea how native would write my name phonetically, and just because a text is enclosed within square brackets and includes a bunch of hyphens, it doesn't mean it's right. Not my brightest of moments. Anyway, let me keep it short. I mean, the slot is only 5 minutes long, so it's not like I have a choice, right? So, before I share my experience of the conference so far, let me tell you how I got here in the first place. Last year, I became a friend with a guy named Rodrigo, like literally that guy over there, like 5 seconds ago. This is Rodrigo. And yeah, he's a really cool chap, honestly. We met online through a social app, which name must not be named. One day, Rodrigo posted online, PyCon US calls for proposals. Anyone interested? Well, I was interested, but since I've never been to a proper conference, I thought this idea is too big, too far-fetched for me at the moment. So I was going to give it a pass. But Rodrigo, in the spirit of a true online friendship, says this, give it a shot. Then I was like, you know what? Why not? And I gave it a shot. I made a poster proposal, or yeah, I made a proposal for a poster and a talk, but yeah, I didn't get the talk, I got the poster. By the way, I'm number 25, so go check it out. I don't mean to brag, maybe a little bit, but it's awesome, so go check it out. Once my poster was accepted, I was okay. I don't want to sound too ungrateful, cocky, or entitled, but that's probably how I actually sound. I'd hoped I'd get the talk and the poster. I also had other doubts. Can I really afford to travel halfway across the globe only so I can show the poster? But then again, Rodrigo, in the spirit of a true online friendship, says this, they might pay you to come, give it a shot. Might they? I repeated with disbelief, they might, was Rodrigo's replied again. Then I was like, you know what? Why not? And I gave it a shot. So here I am, first time in the US, first time at the conference, I'm loving it. People are friendly, I learn a lot. Like for instance, I went to Laszlo's Ford's talk on geospatial validation, and he starts with this, listen up, the earth is not flat. Shocking, right? Do you know how I know? He continues, well, it's in the documentation. And then he went on to explain what a projection is and stuff like that. I've got to tell you, I always suspect the earth is a sphere, but now I had the proof and witnesses. So yeah, cool. I also went to explore the sponsor booths, met more friendly people. I actually learned a new custom, sort of. I think it was at Fastly booth, talking with the lady about cloud and whatnot. The discussion was drawing to its natural end, and when out of the blue, she's offering me a pair of socks. I understand the stickers. I actually have a collection. It's a really great collection. So someone else might be probably coming home empty-handed. So hashtag sorry, not sorry. But socks felt weird. But then she was like, hey, don't worry about it. It's kind of a conference thing. I say, Python conference thing? No, like conferencing in general. So yeah, so much for fixing the reputation for the IT guy, I thought to myself, but I didn't dare to say it out loud. After I finished talking, I went back to the booths of other sponsors to get more socks. And now I've got plenty. So you'll never guess what my family is getting for Christmas this year. Well, if you think socks, then yeah, you're wrong. It's t-shirts, because apparently t-shirts are a thing too. I kept the socks because they're actually quite cool. Okay, so let's be serious for a moment. If there's one thing I would like you to take away from the speech, it's this. Okay, moving on, being conscious of time. To conclude, I'm truly looking forward to the rest of the conference. And I was supposed to say it this morning, so it's kind of like near the end of the conference. But yeah, I'm looking forward to tomorrow as well, to meeting new friends, collecting more socks. And if you want any stickers, I can trade them in, like part of my stash. Meet me at Poster Station 25. I repeat, Poster Station 25, only serious offers. Last but not least, I would like to thank the organizers for creating this fantastic event. I'm already looking forward to the next year edition. And I hope I didn't offend anyone too much, in a way. But if I did, and if you'd like to seek satisfaction like a gentleman or a gentlewoman, but you don't have enough, what? But all you've got in you is a keyboard warrior, then these are all the places I hang out online. But I accept compliments too, so thank you.
I think we end in a high note, so that's really great, and I had so much laugh seeing all these funny memes. So Abigail, how's your experience?
I think it's really been great so far, learning a lot, learning on the job as well. Thank you, Chuck, for the opportunity, and I hope that we learned a lot as well.
Yeah, so that's great, and I'm looking forward to see you tomorrow. Remember, we still have lightning talk tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. here. Also, tonight we have Pythonistas auction, which is also in this venue, so I will see you there. Right.
See you all.